Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to another professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I got for you today is a very high level match of professional Zerg versus Terran, and both of these players are some of the very best in their respective races. Spawning here in the top left hand corner of Acid Plant LE and playing with the purple Terran SCVs. He's from South Korea and he goes by the name of Cure. Now, I gotta say, I actually really like the purple color. Looks pretty sweet on those Terran units, not gonna lie. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, he's playing with the blue Zerg drones. We are currently looking in the main base of the South Korean Zerg, who goes by the name of Solar. Now, for those of you curious, in a lot of the official Blizzard events, players are actually asked to pick the blue and the red colors, or maybe you can pick green as well, I'm not entirely sure, but that's the reason why you see those colors more so than the others. The simple reason is that, in particular, in like mirror matchups, it can be a little bit tricky if, say, one player is playing pink and the other one is playing purple. It can become a little bit tricky to differentiate between the different units. In particular, if it's like a Zerg versus Zerg or like a Terran versus Terran or something, it's pretty difficult to see whose units are whose, but that's alright. In this particular game, we have purple versus blue, which I think is far enough apart to easily tell which units are from which player. Hedge gas pool right here for Solar, the gold standard, of course, in pretty much all of the Zerg matchups. And while some Zerg players do like going for that spawning pool first, just so they can send a couple of Zerglings out on the map to try and deny the command center from going up on the other side of the map, we see a very safe opener here from Cure. Not really risking it in any way, shape, or form. He's gonna send the SCV across the map, and this may seem like a bit of an awkward timing, but with this SCV checking the natural location, he's gonna be able to decide whether or not he wants to send this Reaper across the map. And that in turn, once again, allows Cure to go for the reactor as quickly as he possibly would like to right here on that barrack, so he can switch around for the factory. Basically, now that the SCV has confirmed that there is a natural, the Reaper is going to start moving as well, because he knows that Zerglings will not be showing up at his front door in just a second. Now, with, of course, the addition of the factory, Cure is going to be able to switch that over on the reactor here in just a little bit, and very likely follow it up with a starport as well. It's the gold standard right now in the TVZ matchup, and it has been for a very long time as well. Zerg players over the last couple of months have been speeding up the timing of their third bases by quite a bit. As you may have already noticed on the minimap, the third hatchery has been taken before the Reaper could really arrive. Now, this could be a big deal. Okay, I was gonna say, if he snipes that tumor, that could actually be quite a nice advantage there for Cure. But with the Zerg players taking their third super greedily, it sometimes gets a little scary, because in a lot of cases, Zergs actually take their third before they confirm that there's even a second base from their Terran opponent. But even versus one base Terran, it looks like playing 3-base Zerg is not terrible, because obviously you gotta keep in mind that Zerg structures aren't just meant right here to, for example, start mining these resources, but also for larva production. So even if you go for the third hatchery and you may end up losing it, it's not that big of a deal, because it generated a bunch of larva. Overlord Scout right around, I think 3 minutes and 20 seconds or so is when this one started moving. It will indeed confirm shortly that we have that very classical follow-up here from Cure. At the very least, I'm assuming that's the case. Oh, there we go. He just barely sees that there indeed is a Stargate right now. And right after the Overlord dies, I like that, waiting until the perfect moment, Cure starts up the cloaking upgrade for his Banshees. A couple of Hellions already moving across the map, accompanied by that one Reaper. They're gonna force the denial right there on that creep tumor. Trying to move forward there, trying to see if Solar indeed snuck out a couple extra drones and forgot about those Zerglings, but it looks like that won't be the case, and I think that Cure is likely gonna kill a couple of workers here. Well, ooh, he's actually getting a lot more than I anticipated. 5 drones in total is a lot more than I would have anticipated. Imagine if those Zerglings were skipped. Nice little trade there, all things considered, for Cure. I thought that with those Zerglings being created and the engagement going pretty well for Solar, that he was going to be in a really powerful position as well, but don't know where this drone is headed. Anyway, Not a massive deal, of course, because the Hellions ended up dying as well. And I think as far as units lost go, yeah, it will just barely be in favor of Cure. But at the very least, after losing those Hellions, Solar is going to be able to start powering out those workers, right? You have seen that right now on the minimap and on the production tab as well. Drones are just coming out in the biggest numbers possible. As many workers as Solar can possibly get away with right now. He started up the lair. He started up the Baling Nest and he started up Spore Crawlers here in all of the bases as well. In the meantime, on the side of Cure, we see him just simply adding on more and more barracks, and he's now also going for the third command center. So a very macro-focused game so far of Terran versus Zerg, and I like this. You guys know I'm a big fan of this, right? I know a lot of people really like the action-packed style of StarCraft, and don't get me wrong. I love watching Has play, and I really enjoy the super aggressive cheeses and whatnot that are viable in StarCraft. But I like seeing when players are just simply giving each other the respect to build up that really big economic army. And it looks like that is what we are in for in this game already. And with economic army, I mean obviously the really large armies, right? The ones that basically take a lot of economy to properly support. The Banshees are going to swoop into that main base. Well, I thought the Queens were on the right track there for a little bit, so I do think a couple drones likely will find their death over here. Although so far, well, Cure is target firing down the Queen. He hasn't gotten any real damage just yet on these Banshees, but then again, this is more or less just a way of keeping the Zerg soft contained. This is making it so the units can't just go straight across the map and go kill Cure. Just because the fact that the Banshees are out, he needs to either leave some units at home, or of course, you know, risk it for the biscuit. But usually Zerg players will just simply sit back in these kind of scenarios and drone up themselves as well. So we see Solar sitting on 60 plus drones already at this point in the game, which is a really healthy amount. May very well get the kill there. Nope, just barely not. But he's got 60 plus workers. He's going to go ahead and grab himself that fourth hatchery. He's got the macro hatch now coming up as well. Only mining off of a small amount of gas. All things considered, we're only seeing a handful of gas right now. Not all of them taken. So that once again is an indication that he plans on playing that macro-focused style. I like this. We see something very similar here for Cure, starting up the double engineering bay upgrades really early on, right around the same time, I believe, as that command center was started as well. He's now getting himself the armory, may very well start up upgrading to watch, for example, a fourth base with a planetary, or to maybe go for the Widow Mines and, you know, the what are they called? The siege tank upgrades as well. Once again, though, very conservative aggression, right? Nothing too crazy. Nothing too ballsy. Both players just simply trying to build up that economic advantage. And neither of them really is getting it, because both of them are getting a stupid amount of workers really, really quickly. +1/+1 just finished up here for Solar. He's got himself the infestation pit coming up. Now, I like the way he's playing this. He's going to start a +2/+2 immediately. I mean, the infestation pit is already coming up right now. He may very well go for +2/+2. There we go. And just skip Hydra play or Muta play or anything altogether. It's literally just Zerglings, Banelings, and Queens for now. Now, the Zerglings are going to be accompanied with Banes. So the Baneling speed will be finishing up in just a little bit. But this is actually rather greedy here by Zerg, right? Not really going for any kind of mid-game army, but it looks like he's aiming to go for that late-game tech immediately. Now, while we see that happening, though, this is one of the risks, right? These medevacs can start getting out of control really easily. Cure showing us how good his micro is there. He's not going to lose any of these medevacs to just a bunch of Queens, you know. He's going to stim forward, clear out some of that creep, kill a couple of drones here and there if he's allowed to. And he's going to slowly but surely show us his dominance on the map. Nice micro, though, so far here by Solar as well. Really getting a lot of value here when it comes to killing those tumors. And the Queens actually come up immediately to replace any of that lost creep. 4 medevacs full of units now. It's really just mostly Marines and Widow Mines for the time being. A 4th command center is now also coming up, and we see just more and more army being produced here for Cure. He's got +2/+2, just a little bit ahead of his opponent, and obviously he can start up 3/3 without any additional structures or whatever here in just a little bit. He's already got all of the requirements to start 3/3. Hive is just about to finish though for Zerg. Still just sitting on Ling Bane. Starting up the Spire right now, so I think he might be looking to maybe go for some Brute Lords or maybe even some Ultralisk here in just a second. 5th base now acquired for Solar. Man, this is one of the most passive games, even though it's kind of action-packed, you know, but one of the most passive games that you can really come up with, because both players are pressuring each other a little bit, but neither of them is really messing up. You know what I mean? It's all very, very clean. Neither of them really trying to take any unnecessary risks, and both of them are really starting to macro up a really scary army. So we see 5 base Zerg going up against 4 base Terran. Very, very laid back game with a little bit of harassment here and there. But, you know, this is mostly just Cure trying to see if he can potentially get a bit of a lead. He's assuming that Solar likely won't be giving him that lead, so he's already transitioning towards, for example, the drilling claws and the 4th base, and he's going to try and get that big economy out. I'm assuming this is likely going to be some sort of, maybe a ghost transition here in a bit. First Viper is now coming up as well for Solar. Vipers are getting really, really solid right now. People have gotten really good at the control. Just a proper placed Blinding Cloud absolutely changes the tide of battle. And once again, Cure has been relentless when it comes to just getting rid of those creep tumors, right? Continuously, they are being replaced, but he's been absolutely relentless. Oh, and once again, picking up those Marines and Marauders before the Widow Mines can deal the splash damage to the friendlies as well. Sticked Hatchery right now being taken. We can even start seeing additional command centers right now come out by like 2 at a time. Cure is starting to have the money to basically just build a bunch of them and just drop mules for the rest of the game. Instead though, we now see him add on the fusion core, additional starports, and he's gonna likely start up that Liberator production here in just a bit. Ghost Academy now also being constructed. I like this one a lot. Cure gonna go for that late game Terran army. Now, this is all leading towards the late game, right? We see the players sort of skirmishing here in the mid game, but neither of them is really committing to anything just yet. That does mean that both of them are going to be able to build up that dream army composition, or at the very least, that's what it looks like. Now, building that Terran dream army takes a heck of a lot longer than building that Zerg army. Most of the time, Terrans, when they can max out on like, you know, an army of their wishes, they will get themselves as many ghosts, as many Widow Mines, as many Liberators as they possibly can. Those units are phenomenal. However, you can't just blindly start making them, because you need that Terran Bioforce, the Marine Marauders, and the Medivacs to properly support that army. And that's exactly what Solar is trying to prevent. He does not want his opponent to go up to a 5-base Terran economy, because that's when that scary, scary late-game army comes into play. Now, the Banelings are trying to desperately roll forward here. I think that the command center may very well just be cancelled here in time. Corruptors will be able to get the kill on that, but Cure has been trading phenomenally here. At the same time, a couple of Banelings trying to roll their way through. Looks like that Baneling is, or that group of Banelings rather, is not really gonna get the value that they wanted to get, as a couple of Hellbats that were left over from the early game, as well as one of those Widow Mines, managed to snipe the Banes before they even got close to the mineral line. So that was actually very important there for Solar. Yes, he managed to deny his opponent's economy, and yes, he has been dealing with all the aggression as well, but Cure is still building up a really scary army, and he's once more gonna attempt to grab himself that 5th base. And 5-base Terran economy, when they get this much gas, that's when Terran becomes really, really scary. Sure, Terran can go for these mid-game pushes, but the late-game Terran army is extremely difficult to deal with. Once again, though, the Zerg Swarm is looking to move forward. Corruptors trying to get rid of some of these Liberators before they can really get the value. Great abducts there as well. Planetary Fortress, though, is currently morphing in. There's a lot of Marauders in the front there, getting rid of so many of those Banelings. Beautiful control there by Cure. He manages to keep the Planetary Fortress up. I think it may very well be repaired, and now he may very well start a bit of a counterattack. I really, really like that decision here for Cure. Now, he's got to be careful. He can't go too far on creep. You can see he lost a lot of units, but rather than replacing it with 1,000 Marines, which he could easily do, instead he's going for a lot of Ghosts and more Liberators as well. Beautiful move here by Cure, and I like this. He's not actually overstaying his welcome, I don't think. I mean, maybe he's overextending just a tad, but I like the way he's approaching this, though. Slowly pushing towards this 4th base. Now, I think that the reinforcements of Solar should be able to eventually get rid of this. And it looks like that may very well be the case. But Solar definitely did throw away a lot of units. And I think that these kind of engagements go in favor right here of the Terran player. Look at the amount of units that have been lost so far by Zerg. So many more resources have been thrown away, and that means that Cure is going to be able to secure himself that 5th base, and now he's going to be able to start up that Death Ball of the Terran army. Now, the Death Ball of Terran, it works a little bit differently than that Death Ball of Protoss. When you think of a Protoss Death Ball, I'm sure that a lot of you immediately envision, you know, High Templar, a lot of carriers, the Mothership, those kind of units, right? When it comes to Terran, though, it's that really slow, methodical moving army. You see this? This already is the indication of what is to come. Or at the very least, if Cure is going to be allowed to play the game that he wants to play. He's going to get a lot of those units out. Then, heck, he may even try... Yeah, he's getting another command center right now. He may even try to get the gold here. Once again, though, Solar has to be careful. One medevac full of Marines made its way towards the bottom left-hand corner, which is one of the mining bases of Solar. Solar has been trying to smash this army back, but I feel like the lack of Hydras is really starting to hurt him quite a bit. Look at the slow push, man. That's what Cure wants to do. He wants to slow push forward. And the thing about Ghosts is that they are phenomenal. The base in the bottom left, by the way, fell. But Ghosts are phenomenal at dealing with Ultralisks, with Brute Lords, but also with Vipers as well as Infestors. So most of the late game units are countered on paper by the Ghost. That base that was weakened up earlier looks like it may finally be picked off. Not the case just yet, though. The Terran army is being overwhelmed right now. Links and Banes are going literally in every single direction. There are a lot of Liberators in the air, but they're only just really target firing down Banelings, I suppose, which is not really the unit you want to snipe with them, ideally. Smartly enough, Solar is just simply sticking on the army that he's got. Ultralisk would have been absolutely smashed in this scenario. We barely see any Ultras for that matter right now, or for that reason rather, in the TVZ matchup. Not a lot of people get that whatsoever. Solar, by the way, did get himself the gold base started as well. He may very well be looking to retake the base in the bottom left here as well. But ever since Marauders got much better at dealing with Ultralisk in one of the recent patches for StarCraft 2 a couple months back, it basically made it so that Zerg players do not want to go Ultralisk very often anymore in these kind of macro games. Now, we did see players go for Brute Lords pretty rapidly, but Cure has already got, he's already got himself so many ghosts, right? He's producing, you know, he's produced 6 ghosts right now. He actually lost quite a few as well, I think. Yeah, 8 ghosts already went down. Ideally, you want to keep those alive, but... The longer that this goes, I am starting to get a little bit worried here for Solar. This Terran army is looking menacing. 5 medevacs now being produced as well. So he doesn't want to go too heavy on Liberators. I like that. I almost feel like he needs to start adding on like a couple of Ravens, you know? Ravens would not be bad. Now, a lot of the medevacs actually went down. As a matter of fact, at this point, there are 0 medevacs in total in the game. Base over here will be denied its mining for a little while. It looks like Solar, though, is setting himself up a really, really big surround. And this may very well be what he is looking for. Here we go. The Zerg Swarm is rolling forward. I think the Banelings, there we go. They're redirected right on top of as many of those ghosts as possible. We do see the parasitic bombs going down in pretty much every single direction as well. Planetary Fortress was taken here on the high ground. Cure is going to try and keep that one alive, but I think there is just too much Zerg. All of the Corruptors using their caustic spray as well to nail those units down into oblivion. And Solar manages to break this Terran siege. That was absolutely critical. Sticking on just simply Ling-Bane Hydra, or Ling-Bane Corruptor with some Vipers for support. I like the decision a lot. Still, Cure has been dealing a lot of damage here in the grand scheme of things, right? He's been, oh my god, this one has got 19 kills. He's been losing drones left and right. And even though he's got a good economy, Solar is still sitting on roughly 60 drones. He has lost a lot in the process here too. And you can see, man, that Liberator ranged upgrade that you can get after the Fusion Core, it provides so much value. And I think this Queen definitely will be shut down as well. Cure is doing a phenomenal job slowing down his opponent's economy, and I like that a lot. Usually in the late game, Terran players slow that down a little bit. Not Cure, though. He's doing a great job with exactly that. Once again, though, the Zerg Bio Ball is here. Marines and Marauders are going to run for their lives. The Banelings crashing into whatever they can touch. More and more Zerglings will be reinforcing this, but so are there still a lot of Terran Marines remaining. The Marauders taking up so many of those hits, and while it does look like the Terran army will be forced back once more, There's a lot of reinforcements still flying and walking from the Terran main base over towards the gold base location. And the fact that the creep has been denied so effectively, right, is I think one of the reasons why Solar is having so much trouble here. Even an orbital command is now gonna land for the gold base. Now, the longer that this goes though, right, you gotta keep in mind, Solar has been mining off of a lot of resources. He's got a lot of mining bases still, he's got his own gold as well, whereas the third and the fourth, they're starting to look a little skinny here for Cure. So as long as Solar continuously pushes his back and doesn't allow the gold, he's gonna be in a decent position. I'm just starting to get a little bit worried though. Because this Terran army is getting pretty terrifying. He's securing this location, not just with, like, for example, missile turrets, which is what we used to see back in the day, and I wouldn't mind the addition of missile turrets right now, but with the addition of Widow Mines as well as Liberators and Ghosts. And it's extremely difficult to get a proper engagement. These Widow Mines, man, they're connecting with so much of that Zerg army. Once again, the Zerg ball is gonna try and roll into this position. Parasitic bombs being activated on a lot of those Liberators. They're definitely gonna start running low on that hit point count. But there's no denying, right, that they are picking up so many of these units that are trying to get into those circles. And now I think Kira's seen enough. Yeah, look at that. Unsieging all of those Liberators. He's gonna try and start slow pushing towards that base that he wanted to finish up twice before already. Finally, he manages to get this location, right? But getting the base is not the only advantage that he gets here. I think one of the major advantages you get is positional play. A lot of reinforcements will be coming from this base over here. Solar has to be careful. Because if this base falls on this side, yeah, the one a little bit further to the east is gonna easily go down as well. And Cure manages to pick up this game with what seemed to be a relative ease. I really like that. A lot of Terran players do not want to play that late game army composition against Zerg. They're scared of letting Zerg just simply sit back and macro up. But Cure is showing us what that Terran late game should look like, and he picks up a great victory here against Solar. Now, I hope that you enjoyed watching this much more passive game of professional Terran versus Zerg. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all your love. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.